The sun had not yet risen. A cold gray sky stretched endlessly over the mountains as powerful winds swept across the valley. Even the workers standing on the ground struggled to keep their balance. In the middle of that lonely landscape stood one of the tallest communication towers in the country. 1,400 feet of steel. Locals called it the Iron Giant. Many believed it was cursed. Over the years, accidents had claimed several lives, and experienced climbers often whispered that the higher you climbed, the more the tower tested not just your strength, but your soul. Most people feared it. Only a handful dared to climb it. That morning, 2 elite tower technicians arrived before sunrise. Adrian Walker, 34, was known throughout the industry as the man who never made mistakes. Calm under pressure, disciplined, and fearless, he had spent more than a decade repairing the world's tallest communication towers. His partner was Emily Carter, 29, one of the youngest female high-altitude tower specialists in America. Brilliant. Confident. Fearless. Together, they were considered the best climbing team the company had ever hired. But no one knew their biggest secret. For 3 years, Adrian and Emily had been deeply in love. Company policy strictly prohibited romantic relationships between team members. If anyone discovered the truth, both of them would lose their careers instantly. So they hid their love behind professional smiles. At work, they acted like ordinary colleagues. Away from work, they dreamed about a future where they would never have to hide again. Today was supposed to be just another maintenance assignment. Neither of them knew it would become the most important day of their lives. After completing their safety inspection, they clipped their harnesses onto the steel cable. Every buckle. Every rope. Every carabiner. Every connection. Perfect. Adrian looked at Emily. "You ready?" Emily smiled. "I trust you more than tea." "His tower." He laughed softly. "That's dangerous." She stepped closer. "So is loving you." For a brief moment, the entire world seemed silent. Then the climb began. 100 feet. 200. 400. The higher they climbed, the stronger the wind became. Below them, the trucks looked like tiny toys. Roads disappeared into thin lines. People became invisible. After nearly 2 hours of climbing, they finally reached the maintenance platform near the very top. 1,400 feet above the ground. Clouds drifted beneath their boots. Birds flew lower than they were. The entire valley stretched endlessly in every direction. Emily removed one glove and reached for Adrian's hand. "I've climbed dozens of towers," she whispered. "But I've never felt this alive." Adrian smiled. "Because today you're not just climbing a tower." "What do you mean?" He reached into a small, zippered pocket on his climbing vest. Emily frowned. "What are you doing?" Adrian slowly pulled out a tiny velvet box. Emily's eyes widened. "No." He dropped onto one knee as much as the narrow platform allowed. The wind screamed around them. The steel tower vibrated beneath their feet. But at that moment, nothing else existed. Only the two of them. "Emily Carter. You've been my safest place in the most dangerous job on earth. I don't know what tomorrow looks like. I don't know if this job will ever let us live a normal life. But I know one thing. I never want to spend another day without you." He opened the ring box. "Will you marry me?" Emily's hands began shaking. Tears filled her eyes. She nodded before she could even speak. "Yes. Yes, Adrian. Of course I will." She threw her arms around him. For one perfect moment. 1,400 feet above the earth. It felt as if the entire world had stopped just to celebrate their love. Then, a violent metallic crack echoed through the tower. Clang! The maintenance platform lurched beneath their feet. Emily froze. Adrian's smile vanished instantly. Another loud crack echoed through the steel structure. The tower began to sway far more violently than it ever should have. Adrian grabbed the safety cable. His face turned pale. This isn't the wind. He looked down. Far below. Someone on the ground had disconnected the tower's primary stabilization system. And suddenly, their only way back down was no longer safe. Emily's heartbeat exploded inside her chest. What do you mean, it's not the wind? Adrian didn't answer immediately. His eyes were fixed on the massive steel cables stretching toward the ground. One of them had gone completely slack. The tower wasn't simply swaying anymore. It was moving unnaturally. Years of experience told Adrian exactly what was happening. And it terrified him. He grabbed the emergency radio clipped to his harness. Control, this is Team Alpha at the summit. Do you copy? Only static answered. He tried again. Control. Respond. Nothing. Emily checked her own radio. Dead. No signal. The communication tower itself, the very structure designed to broadcast signals across hundreds of miles, had somehow gone completely silent. Adrian's stomach tightened. Someone shut down the repeater. Emily stared at him. Accident? He slowly shook his head. No. This was intentional. A freezing gust slammed into them. The entire tower groaned like a wounded giant. Steel bolts screeched against each other. The maintenance platform shook violently beneath their boots. Emily instinctively wrapped both hands around the safety rail. Oh my God. Far below. Tiny figures began running around the base of the tower. Emergency vehicles raced toward the site. Sirens echoed across the valley. Something was terribly wrong. Then Adrian noticed something that made his blood run cold. Near the maintenance elevator, one of the main support braces had been cut almost completely through. Not broken. Not worn out. Cut. With industrial equipment. Someone had sabotaged the tower. Emily followed his gaze. Who would do something like that? Adrian whispered. Someone who wanted nobody to come back alive. Silence. The words hung in the air heavier than the clouds beneath them. Emily stepped backward. Her boots slipped on the vibrating steel. The platform jerked sideways. She lost her balance. Adrian. Without thinking, Adrian launched himself toward her. His gloved hand caught hers just inches before she disappeared over the edge. For one horrifying second, Emily was hanging completely in the air. 1,400 feet above the ground. Nothing beneath her except open sky. Her harness slammed against the tower. The impact knocked the breath from her lungs. She screamed. Don't let go. I won't. Adrian shouted. Every muscle in his body strained as he pulled her upward. The wind pushed against them with terrifying force. The tower continued swaying. Metal screamed. Bolts snapped somewhere below. 1, 2, 3 deafening explosions echoed through the structure. Bang! 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 The emergency ladder detached from the tower and disappeared into the clouds below. Their fastest escape route was gone. Emily finally climbed back onto the platform, shaking uncontrollably. She collapsed into Adrian's arms. I thought I was dead. He held her tightly. Not while I'm here. For a moment neither of them spoke. Then Adrian noticed something strange clipped beneath the maintenance console. A small black metal case. It hadn't been there before. Attached to it was a flashing red light. Emily looked closer. What is that? Adrian slowly reached toward it. His breathing stopped. A digital countdown appeared on the screen. 9:58. 9:57. 9:56. Emily's face turned white. Adrian. Is th. At. He swallowed hard. Yes. It's a bomb. Another loud vibration shook the entire tower. The countdown continued. 9 minutes. 50 seconds. Somewhere far below, someone was watching. And whoever planted the bomb wasn't trying to destroy the tower. They were making sure Adrian and Emily would never leave it alive. The red numbers on the device continued to flash. 9:45. 9:44. 9:43. Emily's breathing became shallow. She couldn't take her eyes off the countdown. Every passing second felt louder than the howling wind. Adrian forced himself to stay calm. Fear could kill them faster than the bomb. He knelt beside the black metal case and examined it carefully. It wasn't a military explosive. It wasn't something built by amateurs either. Whoever had planted it knew exactly what they were doing. 3 colored wires disappeared into the tower's electrical system. A pressure sensor was attached underneath. A satellite transmitter blinked silently. Emily whispered, "Can you disarm it?" Adrian slowly shook his head. "If I touch the wrong wire, it explodes." The timer dropped again. 8:58. A deep metallic groan echoed through the tower. The structure leaned several feet before swinging back. Both of them grabbed the steel frame. The entire tower felt alive, like a giant breathing beneath them. Emily looked toward the horizon. Dark storm clouds were rolling across the mountains. Lightning flashed in the distance. "No," she whispered. "Please, not now." Within minutes, rain began to fall. Tiny drops quickly became sheets of freezing water. The steel tower turned slippery. Their gloves lost grip. Visibility dropped to almost nothing. The world below disappeared behind thick clouds. Now they weren't just trapped above the ground. They were trapped above the clouds. Adrian reached into his emergency backpack. Inside were only 3 things. A small flashlight. A multi-tool. 1 emergency climbing rope. No parachute. No rescue equipment. No way down. Emily laughed nervously. "I always imagined dying old, sitting on a porch somewhere." Adrian looked at her. "We're not dying today." She smiled weakly. "You still believe that?" "I have to." He gently held her hand. "Because if I stop believing, we're already gone." For a moment, the fear disappeared. Only love remained. Emily looked at the engagement ring still resting in her palm. Rainwater rolled across the tiny diamond. "It isn't exactly the proposal I dreamed about." Adrian laughed. "I know. I forgot to book the restaurant." She laughed too. A real laugh. The kind that cuts through terror. For just a few seconds, they weren't victims. They were simply 2 people in love. Then, beep! The device made a loud electronic sound. Both of them froze. The countdown stopped. For 1 terrifying heartbeat, nothing happened. Then a new message appeared on the screen. "Look below." Emily slowly leaned over the platform. Far beneath the clouds, she could barely make out dozens of police cars, fire trucks, rescue helicopters circling helplessly. Hundreds of people watching from a safe distance. No helicopter could reach them. The storm was too violent. The wind near the summit exceeded safe flying limits. Adrian suddenly noticed movement on a nearby maintenance antenna. A small drone emerged from the clouds. It hovered only a few feet away. A speaker switched on. Then a calm male voice echoed through the storm. "Congratulations on your engagement." Emily's blood turned cold. The voice continued. "I've waited 3 years for this moment." Adrian stepped forward. "Who are you?" The man chuckled. "You don't remember me. But I remember you. You destroyed my life." Adrian frowned. "I don't even know you." "Oh. You will." The drone slowly rotated. A small screen lit up. An old photograph appeared. It showed Adrian years earlier, standing beside another tower. Next to him was a smiling young technician. Emily looked at Adrian. "Who is he?" Adrian's face turned pale. He whispered only one name. "Daniel." The color drained from Emily's face. "You told me Daniel died in an accident." Adrian nodded slowly. "He did." A cold laugh came through the drone's speaker. "No. I survived. And now I'm going to make sure you experience the same fear I felt." 1,400 feet above the ground. The storm roared louder than ever. Lightning split the dark sky, illuminating the enormous steel tower for a brief second before everything disappeared back into the rain. Emily stared at the drone in disbelief. "It can't be. You said Daniel died." Adrian couldn't take his eyes off the screen. 5 years earlier, Daniel Brooks had been his closest friend. They had trained together, climbed together, and trusted each other with their lives. Then came the accident. During a maintenance job on another communications tower, a support cable snapped without warning. Daniel fell. His body was never recovered. The investigation declared him dead. Adrian blamed himself every single day. He left flowers at Daniel's memorial every year. He had carried that guilt for 5 long years. Now, the impossible had happened. Daniel was alive. The speaker crackled again. "You look surprised, Adrian. You buried an empty coffin." Emily stepped closer. "If you're alive, why would you do this?" Daniel laughed. "Because while everyone cried for me, I was forgotten." 5 years earlier, Daniel had survived the fall by crashing through thick pine trees on the mountainside. His body was shattered. Broken ribs. Broken spine. Multiple fractures. He spent nearly a year in hospitals, followed by years of painful rehabilitation. But the physical pain wasn't the worst part. The company declared him dead before Sear Ching long enough. His insurance was denied. His family lost everything. His wife left him, believing he had abandoned them. The man who once climbed the tallest towers in America was now forgotten by the world. Every lonely night, one thought kept him alive. Revenge. He blamed the company. He blamed the rescue team. But above all, he blamed Adrian. "If you hadn't insisted we keep climbing, I would never have fallen." Back in the present, Adrian's voice trembled. "Daniel. I searched for you. I never stopped." Daniel's voice turned cold. "You searched for 3 days. I spent 3 years learning how to make you suffer." The drone moved closer. "I don't want to kill you quickly. I want you to make a choice." Emily felt her stomach tighten. "What choice?" The drone projected another image. Far below, rescue crews had finally secured a powerful emergency zipline launcher to a nearby service tower. But there was only one rescue cable long enough to reach the summit. One cable. One survivor. Daniel spoke calmly. "In 12 minutes, the bomb will destroy the platform. The rescue line can carry only one person before the tower becomes too unstable. You choose." Adrian immediately answered. "Emily goes." Emily turned toward him. "No. I'm not leaving you. You have to. We're getting married." "Exactly. I promised I'd protect you." Tears streamed down Emily's face. "I don't want a future without you." Adrian gently held her face. "You won't have to. I'll find another way." She shook her head. "There isn't another way." Daniel interrupted them. "You have 10 minutes. Tick, tock." The timer on the bomb flashed again. 9:59. 9:58. The rescue helicopter circled helplessly below the storm clouds. The cable launcher was almost in position. But only one harness hung from the line. Emily looked at Adrian with trembling eyes. If one of us has to live, it should be both of us. Adrian smiled sadly. Then let's make sure that's exactly what happens. He looked around the tower, studying every beam, every cable, every bolt. Then his eyes stopped on something hidden behind the maintenance platform. A forgotten emergency descent system. Old. Rusted. Never meant to be used again. But it was there. A tiny spark of hope in the middle of impossible odds. Adrian whispered. Maybe. Just maybe. We're not out of miracles yet. As another bolt of lightning lit up the sky, he reached for the rusted release handle. The entire tower shuddered violently. And the bomb timer dropped below. 9 minutes. The storm had become relentless. Rain lashed against the steel tower like thousands of tiny knives, and every powerful gust made the entire structure groan beneath Adrian and Emily's feet. The bomb's timer continued its merciless countdown. 8:47. 8:46. 8:45. Adrian tightened his grip on the rust. Emergency descent handle. It hadn't been inspected in over 20 years. If it failed, they would both fall 1,400 feet to their deaths. Emily looked at him. Do you really think it can work? Adrian took a deep breath. I don't know. But I know one thing. I'd rather fight for our lives than wait for death. Emily smiled through her tears. That's why I fell in love with you. Adrian pulled the release lever. For a terrifying second, nothing happened. Then, clank! A hidden steel compartment opened beneath the platform. Inside was an old emergency escape trolley connected to a heavy rescue cable that stretched to a neighboring maintenance tower nearly half a mile away. Emily couldn't believe her eyes. We actually have a chance. Adrian nodded. But only if this cable still holds. Suddenly, Daniel's voice exploded through the drone speaker. No! The drone shot toward them at full speed. Daniel had been watching every move. He wasn't about to let them escape. The drone slammed into the escape trolley. Sparks flew everywhere. The cable shook violently. The trolley rocked over open air. Emily screamed as it nearly slipped from its track. Adrian grabbed it just in time. The bomb timer dropped again. 5 o'clock. Far below, rescue teams realized what Adrian was attempting. One helicopter pilot ignored orders from air traffic control and climbed higher into the dangerous storm. The wind battered the aircraft violently. Warning alarms filled the cockpit. But the pilot refused to turn back. If they have even one chance, I'm taking it. Back on the tower, Adrian looked Emily in the eyes. Listen to me. When I count to 3, you get into the trolley. Emily shook her head. We go together. It was only designed for one person. I don't care. We promised forever. Adrian smiled. Then forever starts today. He inspected the cable one final time. Its rated capacity had faded with age. But one number was still visible. 700 pounds maximum load. Together, they weighed far less. A smile slowly appeared on Adrian's face. It can carry both of us. Emily laughed with relief. I told you. We were never leaving each other. They climbed into the tiny trolley together. Adrian wrapped one arm around Emily and locked the safety bar. Below them, 1,400 feet of empty air. Behind them, the bomb reached its final seconds. 0:10. 0:09. 0:08. Adrian released the brake. The trolley shot forward across the cable at incredible speed. Wind roared past their faces. Rain blurred their vision. The tower disappeared behind them. The drone chased them, trying desperately to catch up. Then, 0:03. 0:02. 0:01. The bomb exploded. A deafening fireball erupted from the top of the tower. Steel beams twisted apart. Flames burst into the stormy sky. The shockwave raced toward the trolley. The cable whipped violently. Emily closed her eyes. Adrian held her tighter than ever. "I've got you." The shockwave struck. The trolley swung wildly. But it stayed on the cable. Seconds later, they crashed safely onto the emergency platform of the neighboring tower. Rescue workers rushed toward them. Emily jumped into Adrian's arms. Both of them were shaking, but alive. At the same moment, the damaged drone spiraled out of control and crashed into the burning remains of the tower. Daniel's voice disappeared forever. The nightmare was over. 6 months later. On a quiet hill overlooking the valley, Adrian and Emily stood hand in hand. This time, there were no storms. No fear. No secrets. Only family, friends, and a beautiful sunset. They exchanged wedding vows beneath an open sky. When the minister asked, "Do you promise to stand by each other through every challenge life brings?" Adrian smiled. "I already have." Emily looked into his eyes. "And I always will." As they shared their first kiss as husband and wife, everyone applauded. Later that evening, Adrian looked toward the distant horizon where the broken tower once stood. "It taught me something." Emily smiled. "What?" He took her hand. "The strongest steel can break. The tallest towers can fall. But when love is built on trust, courage, and hope, it never falls." The end. True love isn't measured by how high you can climb together, it's measured by how fiercely you refuse to let each other fall, even when the world beneath you is collapsing.